special days in our lives that we celebrate, like our birthdays. We celebrate Jesus' birthday or at Christmas time. And then as we go through life, we have loved ones who pass away. And we remember those loved ones, our grandparents and our relatives and good friends. And we remember those special days. And it's very difficult, but it's very important for us to remember our loved ones as we remember them every day of our lives. And we know where they're at, and what a great comfort that is. And so in the Christian church around the world, we take this weekend to remember what Jesus Christ means to us. How much do we need Jesus in our lives? And as you shared on Tuesday with each other, and as you talk in the classroom, in your devotional time, and religion time, and in all subjects, is that Jesus is the center, as you know. And so last night, yesterday was Maundy, Thursday. Maundy means commandment. And Jesus gave us the summary of all commandments to love one another. And he did that by breaking bread, celebrating the Lord's Supper, which we call Holy Communion. And he washed the disciples' feet. And so that's the first part of today, is washing someone's feet.
Yeah, good morning. And I want you guys to all think about something very, very important. I want you to imagine that someone gave you the news that you had a few days until you were going to be leaving this earth. What would become important to you? Would it be important of who won a kickball game or who won a baseball game? I don't think you guys would care. Would it be really important that you had the best clothes and the best backpack and the best lunch pail? I don't think you would care. When you sat down to have dinner with your family, would you be arguing and fighting, or would you want to talk with them and tell them how much you love them? Yeah, your conversation would look a lot different if you knew that your time was limited. And this is the thing, when we celebrated Maundy, Thursday last night, when Jesus came to have that supper, that Passover supper with his apostles, it was much different for him because he knew that his time was coming to a close. The apostles, it was another Passover. They did this every year, and it was a very, very special, special feast for them. But it was another one that they were having each year. Jesus, he entered this Passover much differently. His heart knew that he was not going to be with his friends on this earth much longer. He was going to be leaving them. He had important information he needed to get to them. So when we look at what that dinner was like, what that Passover supper was like for Jesus, completely different than what was happening with the apostles. He was there very, very intentional. His words and his actions. And you know what he did? He sits down and he begins eating. And then he rises from the table and he goes and does something amazing. Mrs. Hummel was going to come up here for me for a sec, and I'm going to kind of talk you through what Jesus did for his apostles and what this actually meant. All right. When he got up from the table, the Bible says that he took a white cloth and he tucked it into his belt. And he tucked it into his belt, and then he went and he knelt down in front of his apostles. And then he did something that you would never expect someone in his position to do. He went over and he did the job of what a servant does. A servant that comes and probably is not spoken to and they don't have a conversation. That's what a servant would do. And Jesus knelt down and he said, I need to wash your feet. Your feet are dirty and I need to wash them. And he didn't care. He knew that they had been walking around, and he knew how filthy they were. But this was something more. And so he went and he said, let me wash your feet. And I say, Miss Hummel, I know your days are long, and your days are hard, and you have a lot of things that you're probably struggling with. And he wants you washed as well. And so, Miss Hummel, we're going to wash your feet today. And your feet, they get dirty from all the things that are going on in life, from hardships from family members who might be sick and hurting, and it's weighing heavy on you. It might be heavy on your heart because you lose your patience sometimes. It might be heavy on your heart because you're upset when things go wrong. And things look very, very dirty. It's not clean. It's not an easy world to live in. It's not easy to walk in this world. But Jesus said, let me come and let me wash you and let me clean you and let me take all that dirt away from you. And then he said, we're going to get rid of all that and make you clean. And Jesus did that. And he got down, and then he said, and this is what I want you to do. He said, just as I have done this for you, I want you to go and I want you to do. I want you to serve others. I want you to do this for the people around you. And then this is the coolest thing that he says right after this. He says, I tell you the truth, no servant is greater than his master, nor a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them. So guys, I have to tell you, he's told us how to live our life. He's told us what we need to do. And then he says, you will be blessed if you do these things. He did not say you might be blessed. He said you will be blessed. We must be servants. He went to heaven and he is watching over us. And he has equipped us with everything we need, and he will continue to equip us nonstop with everything we need. We must go and share this news that he has come. We must go and share that this dirty water, he washed it. And that's why we're here today.
Can you hit the next slide? This is the song now we'll sing. Cherish the words. First two verses of stricken, smitten, and afflicted. A song about Jesus on the cross. My soul Tonight we'll have one of our former PE teachers with us, helping me with the 7 statements of faith. And that is GP, that you call him, Grant Platt. Many of you know that he took a terrible fall. And when he fell, his head hit bricks. And he's not with us this morning, but with us this evening. But it's interesting, as he's working with this message with me, he has a couple words that begin in F that helps him. And so we looked at the 7 statements that I'm going to do right now, and guess in each Jesus statement what is the word that might be in that statement or maybe not, that refers to Jesus giving us comfort on the cross. You're going to help me. I'll be the narrator. I want you to, when you see all of the words of Jesus, I want you to share that with me. So I'll begin. 2 others were criminals who were led away to be put to death with him. When they came to the place that is called the skull, there they crucified him. And the criminals, one on his right and one on his left. And Jesus said, together, Father, forgive them. And they cast lots to divide his garments, and the people stood by watching. But the ruler scoffed at them, saying, together, the soldiers also mocked him, coming up and after him, sour wine, and said, offer him sour wine. Together, there was also an inscription over him, this is the King of the Jews. First statement of Jesus, I'm going to have at this time now. Connor, would you take your acolyte and put out the first candle, the first at the end here. Just put it out. And the first F, you're probably what Jesus was talking about, is forgiveness. Forgiveness. They do not know what they're doing. Think all the times that your teachers and your parents especially forgive you because they know you don't know what you're doing. And God does that for us. We mean well, but we fall short. We get so excited about something or so focused on ourselves or an item that we forget that we're hurting people around us. We get into their spaces. And so forgiveness. At this time now, Jody, if you go to the cross, and as we sing as we go to the next statement, Jody and I, we picked one for each class. So Reed Brown in the first grade, would you come forward at this time? Reed, go to the cross. Tonight, we'll have people put their sins and burdens on these paper nails, and then they're welcome to come up and nail it to the cross. So Reed's going to take a paper and a nail, and he's going to put the first onto the cross. First nail is an incredible forgiveness that God gives us. The second statement, we go in now. One of the criminals who were hanged railed at him, saying, the guys, would you read this together? Are you not the Christ? Save yourself and us. But the other rebuked him, saying, ladies, do you not fear God? And he said, to him, future, This is one of Grant's key words, is the future in his life. That he has no idea what's going to happen in the future. He's 90% paralyzed. He gets a little strength, little by little, but he still can't do anything for himself. But he knows who has the future. Second grader, Hudson Merlin, would you come forward to Jody at this time and kneel the second? Would you put now, Connor, the other end of this candle, would you pray? At this time now, we'll sing the first verse of a powerful hymn, Were You There When They Crucified? Statement on the cross. But standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to his mother, together, and then he said to his disciples, together, and from that hour, the disciple took her to his own home. The next word that begins in F for Grant is family. In the middle of the night, his wife has to get up and help him every night. His sons have to get up early to dress him. They have to do everything for him. And so family is everything for him. It was neat that Jesus, when he's saving the world, he made sure his mom was going to be taken care of. Joseph already was in heaven, passed away, we believe, and so Mary was by herself. Of course, she had her children and Jesus' brother and sisters. But he made sure the youngest disciple who would live a long life would take care of his family. Connor, would you take now the second candle to the end? As he does that, we'll have our third grader, Aubrey Garcia. Will she come forward to now the third? Our sinful nature, we don't think of family at first. And they do so much for us. The fourth statement now comes from Matthew. All four Gospels are in these 7 statements as they work together. Now, from the 6th hour, there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. About the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, all right, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That's Arabic. And that is, together, we'll hear tonight that Grant, he struggles with that. He can't do anything for himself. But then he realizes, and as he shares with me, and as we're studying this, is that who really does the forsaking? We do with God. God the Father, for just a moment, forsake his Son so he could save us all. He needed to die for us, a perfect human being, to be that sacrifice. Someone who lived a perfect life for you and I. And some of the bystanders hearing it said together, "This man is calling Elijah." Forsaken. This time, Connor, now would you put the other end of the second candle out, and as he comes and does that, we will have our fourth grader, Nathan Wilkerson. Would you come forward? And now, the fourth. Join us now as we sing the second verse of "Were You There When They Nailed Him to the Tree?" The fifth statement is in the Gospel of John. After this, Jesus, knowing all that was finished, said to fulfill the scriptures, together, and a jar full of sour wine stood there. So he put on a sponge full of the sour wine on a hyssop branch and held it to his mouth. Before you turn, oh, you did already. You finally see that F word? We can show it now. Feeble. Weak. Human. Connor, now you go and do the next lights to this on your side. And Ishan, our fifth grader, would you come and put out now the next nail. This was an important line for us. Many people believe, was Jesus just fully human or fully divine? That's why we have so many creeds out there to make sure that Jesus was fully divine and, very importantly, fully human. He thirsts. He cried. He was hungry. He slept. He was angry. He showed all the emotions as a human showed. Very important. And Grant will share about his pain that he has, that he feels in his body. And he says that's a good thing for his body, that he can feel some pain. That means the body is alive. The sixth statement, when Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, together, all right, the word finish. Only Jesus could do this. We have nothing to do with our salvation. After Jesus has found us, and he comes into our lives with his word and through baptism, plants the seed of faith, and it grows every time we hear it. We get to receive that joy and love one another. But Jesus does it from beginning and end, our salvation. Connor, would you put the candle on this other side out? And Johnny Streeter, would you come forward and would you nail the sixth nail to the cross? Join us now as we sing the third verse of Were You There?
Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb?
Now the seventh statement. It was about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour. That's like at noon was the 6th hour, and the 9th would be 3 p.m. While the sunlight faded, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two, the curtain would be right here. Only the 10 Commandments, it would be the Ark of the Covenant, and only once a year the high priest would come in. And in this section would be burning the incense and the prayers, and it would be outside sacrificing for our sins. And this curtain torn from top to bottom. That's the coolest thing, is that God tore it so now we can come into his presence, because Jesus is the one who's that bridge. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Jesus, calling out in a loud voice, said, together, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And having said this, he breathed his last. Faith is the last word for Grant. Faith. He has nowhere else to turn to. He can't do anything for himself. And that's what faith is that he has to wake up every morning in the middle of the night and rely on God. As Jesus fell into his body into his Father's hands after he died, his Father caught him, laid him in a tomb. And so Nico, your 7th grade, would you now nail in the 7th? And then he was secured in a tomb, and this was important. It was neat that the guards were there, that no one stole the body. He needed to die. Somebody had to pay the price. Jesus once said that if you had to remove a body parts every time you sin, would there be any body left? If you sin with your tongue, your hands, if you're pushing, you're stealing, you're lying, you gossip, you hear stuff, you don't help others, you don't move quickly to help people, we would have no body left. Jesus was the ransom. His body for our body. So that we can wake up every morning being forgiven, every morning knowing no matter what happens on this earth, and this is our hell. Heaven is on its way. For those who don't know Jesus or don't walk with him or be fed by him, this is their heaven. This is the best it's going to be. And so what a blessing. What a role model. Grant will say tonight, he is a sinner. He is definitely a sinner. He falls short every day. Before his accident and after his accident. We are sinners too. And so Jesus sealed it all by being in that tomb. Reagan, our 8th grader, would you put the last nail into the cross? would you put out the last light? We're going to close now. We know the rest of the story. And so on Sunday, at both services, at the end of each service, we're going to ask you to come up here and lead us in the benediction. And this is our benediction. Alan's going to play the piano. And why don't we stand now at this time? If we remember some of the actions, and after the song, we'll leave quietly. May the God of hope fill you with all peace as you trust in Him, as you trust in Him. May the God of hope fill you with all peace as you trust in Him, as you trust in Him. Remain standing now, and let's just go from 8th grade to kindergarten quietly. 8th and 7th, would you on first?